Oklahoma lawmakers got an earful today of the word abortion. It was shouted across the fourth floor rotunda by more than 100 women who took part in what was dubbed as the Pink Wave Rally. ONR's Bonnie Campo reports it was organized in part to respond to what backers see as a legislative war on women.
The Pink Wave Rally was a mixture of emotions as women told stories of unwanted abortions, but medical reasons left them no choice. Religious independence and ongoing concerns over comments by State Representative Sally Kern. The word abortion was shouted across the rotunda to make a point.
We are outraged at legislators who claim concern with too much regulation and government too large, while they inject into our most private and personal lives the government.
The current legislative session has produced numerous anti-abortion laws. In the ongoing battle over abortion rights, groups are often labeled as conservative or liberal, pro one thing or another, but it also many times just comes down to getting the votes.
It's a political tool, and it's unfortunate, but that's what we're doing here. Most of these end up in court. They won't pass because it's a federal issue, and if they want to modify abortion, they need to do it by locally with programs like medically accurate sex education.
Recent controversial comments by a state lawmaker also got attention at today's rally.
I'm an HR professional. I'm a human resources professional. So when I heard Sally Kern's comments about women spending more time with their families is why they're paid less, I thought, what an old school way of thinking. And how is that going to bring business to our state?
Kelly Jennings with Oklahoma's Religious Coalition for Reproductive Choice says abortion is just as much of a choice as religion.
I will defend any Oklahoman's right to your religious beliefs. However, your beliefs stop at my body.
For State Senator Judy Eason McIntyre, both political parties share some blame for the current atmosphere women sense at the state capitol.
And let me tell you what, sometimes the issues are not just by Republican men, there are Democrats too. And I'll tell you what, don't be fooled by the label. If they're a bad man, get rid of them.
The overall message for today's Pink Wave Rally came down to one simple point. Choice is personal and should be left that way. For ONR, I'm Bonnie Campo.
Combines are rolling in parts of Oklahoma as the wheat harvest moves northward across the state. Adverse weather conditions have left many Oklahoma wheat farmers fearing that this year's crop will yield even less than the year before. But ONR's Bonnie Campo met with a Minco farmer who says he has seen sprouts of success.
In Oklahoma, a farmer's life is about as predictable as the forecast, and this spring both had a grim outlook. Many farmers have predicted the wheat crop would take a beating from the weather, but farmer Don Shebers thinks his fields will yield a larger profit than expected.
Well, the fields that we've cut so far, we thought would make 20. The first one made 40, so it was a pleasant surprise. The yield, it's a lot better than what the wheat looks like when you get out in it and look around and try to figure out what it's going to make. It's making a lot better than what we thought, so hopefully it'll be statewide that way.
Sheber says no one knows how, despite drought, tornadoes, or hail.
This has been the craziest weather year I've ever seen. My grandpa used to tell me, you tell me what the weather will be and I'll tell you how to farm. But this year, even with knowing that, we wouldn't know how to farm.
Sheber thinks by the end of the week, farmers will get a better understanding of what the harvest will look like in the rest of the state.
With this week, the weather the way it is, there'll be a lot of wheat brought in. I think the local elevator here at Minco took in like 47,000 bushel yesterday, which is, it's not a big day, but it's a real good day because it was 3 o'clock before anybody could start because of the moisture.
Quantity is just one of the factors that will make a difference for farmers.
The test weight is just excellent. It's 60 to 64 pounds. Last year it was 54 to 58, most of it. It was pretty light, but this year that's part of the reason our yields are better because the weight is a lot heavier, and the protein is good. So we've got some of the best quality we've had in Oklahoma for a long time.
However, the news isn't all good.
The wheat's about a foot shorter than what it should be. It lost a lot of tillers, or heads per plant are not there because it was too dry, and some of the heads that survived are smaller, so they don't have as many grains in them. I saw a crack in the wheat field here the other day that's still 2 inches wide after a 4.5 to 5 inch rain.
Schieber says his grandfather also cultivated land, and it's become more than a job. It's his life.
When I was in the 7th grade, I knew I wanted to be a farmer, and I aimed all my education that way, and so it's a lifelong deal for me. You know, it's either make it or break it on the farm. We don't have to go to Las Vegas. We gamble enough here every day.
Experts believe northern Oklahoma will produce the best wheat crops in the state. The yield in the southwest is expected to be down. But this year's Oklahoma wheat crop won't be judged until the last combine rolls through the fields in the north and moves up the plains. For ONR, I'm Bonnie Campo.
The May 23rd tornadoes left behind scores of homes and businesses damaged or destroyed. They also served as a reminder for one state lawmaker of his quest to find a way to provide more protection so the next time severe weather strikes, the death toll may be zero. ONR's Bonnie Campo reports.
Be good, for example, to Oklahoma to have some kind of tax incentive if you put in a shelter, some kind of tax rebate. I believe Oklahoma did a similar rebate program in 2003.
There was a federal shelter initiative 12 years ago that produced more than 6,000 safe room shelters across the state. And in 2003, the state also had a rebate program to build storm shelters. Since then, all the money has run out. For a Norman company, restoring those government incentives means more than just a boost to their business.
I'm really excited to see the government push, them standing behind the certification process and showing that they're standing behind it by offering incentives.
Kyle Newton began his business with a friend back in 1999 after the home of a close acquaintance was lost to a tornado. Newton has also helped others finance shelters he has built for them. If incentives are a result of O&B's interim study, Newton warns those looking to build a safe room that they need to go through a company that is certified.
Anybody can go dig a hole and put a box in the ground, but you're getting the opposite effect when you think you're safe and you turn to this measure that you think is going to keep you safe, and it doesn't.
With the storms fresh in everyone's mind, Newton says his business doesn't need any incentives to stay busy, but it would help those on the financial edge to have a better chance of surviving Oklahoma's tornadoes.
It's growing in leaps and bounds. I think our calls have probably doubled and business has just about doubled.
Waiting for the state to come up with incentives to build a storm shelter may not be the best choice. With ongoing budget cuts, finding the money to incentivize storm shelter construction may be the toughest part of Representative O&B's effort.
It may not be feasible next year or maybe even the year after, but I do believe we need to start looking at that, see if we need to be targeting some areas like mobile home parks.
For ONR, I'm Bonnie Campo.
The words being used today to describe civil rights activist Clara Luper say volumes about the impact she had on the state of Oklahoma. A pioneer, a hero, courageous, a lover of people, and a great teacher. At age 88, Clara Luper passed away overnight following a lengthy illness. ONR's Bonnie Campo has this look back on the life and work of the mother of Oklahoma civil rights.
You know, she was probably the last of the living legends of the civil rights movement in Oklahoma.
We had a champion amongst us, and it was all done non-violently.
In 1958, Clara Luper led a group of children on a sit-in at the Katz drugstore lunch counter. That eventually led to the desegregation of restaurants across Oklahoma City. It is recognized as the first civil rights sit-in in America and resulted in a lifetime of activism that left its mark on Oklahoma society.
Not only was she a great leader in terms of the civil rights movement in Oklahoma, but first and foremost, she was a teacher, and she loved students. And she loved students, whether they were white, black, green, yellow. She just loved kids.
I'm gonna use children. I'm gonna use the least of thee. I'm gonna tie it into the walk and talk of Jesus. If you do something to the children of the world, oh, shame on you.
Miss Luper's work began in the early 1950s. It many times put her in harm's way, something she overcame, in the words of historian Curry Ballard, with dignity and love.
The death threats, people spitting. She told me, Ballard, people didn't even know me, come to me and spit in my face. You're talking about a society that needed prayer.
I think that being arrested to her was just, if that was the price to be paid, then so be it.
Clara Luper is being remembered today as a civil rights activist, but it was her work as a school teacher that opened the eyes of countless children, changing them from who they were to who they would become.
She had some special connection with her belief system that children were especially close to God. And she used that connection to touch the hearts of people in a way that maybe adults couldn't have.
I had no other choice. See, black people could only be teachers or preachers. And I know I had not been called to preach. So I took the second way.
From a school teacher to a civil rights leader to organizing the Miss Black Oklahoma pageant, Miss Luper's life came down to helping young people to believe in themselves, believe they had a future, that no matter what society did to them, they could overcome.
Mrs. Luper was able to be that beacon. She was able to shine light in darkness. And we became the benefactors of such a glorious life. Mrs. Clara Luper was indeed the flower in the weed patch.
I believed with all my heart that the time would come when America would know no segregation. I couldn't lose my purpose, which was very simple: to do what I could while I could.
For ONR, I'm Bonnie Campo.